Hello, this is Operator Ethics. My name is Jason Bobko. I'm the manager in the drinking water section over the engineering review, technical assistance, and operator certification programs. Today we're going to be talking about ethics in operations. We're going to go over definitions. What are the importance of ethics when it comes to being an operator of a public water system? The Arizona rule that relates to ethics, and common dilemmas that operators may deal with, as well as some case studies where people were caught acting unethically and in some cases illegally. What is a certified operator? Well, I'm a certified operator. I hold my grade 4 certifications in water treatment and distribution and my grade 1 certifications in wastewater treatment and collections. But what does that really mean? It means I'm a steward of providing safe, healthy drinking water to the citizens of Arizona. According to rule, a certified operator is simply an individual who holds a current certificate issued by the department in the field of water or wastewater treatment, water distribution, or wastewater collections. You can see the rule references there. That's our job to know the rules and to help you understand them better. But ethics and integrity are about doing the right thing, even when you think no one is looking. Ethics is thinking in the gray areas between absolute right and absolute wrong. When it comes to rules and laws, they do not call out every single detail of something you may encounter. And that is where your personal judgment will come to play. That is where your ethics will come into play, your integrity. So these are the rules, though, that standards that govern the conduct of a person or even the members of a profession. The Arizona Administrative Code, right? We already defined what a certified operator does. And it's really about making all the right decisions, okay, based on your ethics, right, wrong, good or bad. It's also how you decide what is right and wrong, what is good and bad on the job. Think about what you do affects not only your coworkers, but the people that are drinking or using your product. You want your actions to be straightforward and be happy to explain why you made the decision that you did. Why are ethics important? Well, they're important because we protect public health and the environment. There is no greater mission at ADEQ than protecting human health and the environment. That is why we're here. Our mission is to protect and enhance public health and the environment in Arizona. We want to work with operators to help provide safe drinking water to the public. Water treatment is one of the world's most important, important professions. Providing clean, safe drinking water to families and communities, or treating the water that goes down the drain from homes and businesses every day has a great impact on everyone's standard of living. Jay Kirchner, the executive director of American Water College, was talking with a relief worker from Uganda. They said that non-governmental organizations, NGOs, or relief agencies would rather have one water treatment operator with the skills to provide clean drinking water or a single wastewater treatment operator who can provide clean effluent than they would 10 doctors, because they understand that the best way to promote life and treat disease is to have a clean and safe source of water. You also want to ensure public trust. The biggest issue that we face is when a water system loses the trust of their consumers, and it's really hard to get that back. It's important to stay in communication with customers when there's a problem, and it's important to stay completely transparent about any issues that may arise. The consumers will appreciate you much, much more when you're honest and upfront about situations than if you try to hide them. Okay, this is all about ethics again. The rule relating to ethics, a proper operation of a facility, and not falsifying records. It had to be included in rule, because if it's in a rule, that means that somebody did it. Okay, that's why it's there. So we have these rules to ensure that people operate in an ethical way. This is why certs can be taken away from people. If operators operate the facility improperly or falsify records, there are consequences, as we'll go over later on. There are reasons why a certificate may be revoked, suspended, or put on probation. These stipulations are written in our Arizona Administrative Code, our 18.5-109B, from the rules stated on the last slide. This set of requirements for an operator relate to the ethical operation of a facility. Negligence usually includes doing something that an ordinary, reasonable, and prudent person would not do, or not doing something such a person would do, considering the circumstances, situation, and the knowledge of parties involved. Some examples of negligence would be rushing through your work, i.e. prepping samples, running the analysis, or data entry reporting. You don't want to rush through those things. Also, not following proper procedures, okay, using expired reagents and or standards, or skipping steps in the process that are necessary, but typically you're not gonna see, let's say that analyte, for instance, right? You're not, it's typically not there, so you're just not going to run that extra step in the test. Well, run the extra step, because you never know. You're doing the test and the analysis for a reason. Okay, this set of rules applies to complying with and cooperating with the following department orders, terms, or conditions of probation or suspension, or an investigation where information is being requested. And what you don't want to do is tear up logbooks, throw away logbooks, delete data, things of that nature. It will be found. It will be found out, and at that point, there will be action taken by the department as a result. So what could happen to certificates? Well, upon any unethical actions, the certs can be revoked, right, or suspended, or placed on probation. And the operator must notify the owner of the facility where they are employed. And if you don't, we will. The certificate on probation or suspended, it may include completion of additional PDHs, increased reporting of operator activity, or limitation on activities the operator may perform, or other terms that to address deficiencies in operator performance. That's straight out of rule. If their certificate is put on suspension or probation, the record stays in our system and may be reported if reciprocity is requested from another state. If a cert is suspended, just suspended, the individual may not operate a facility of the class of the suspended certificate until that suspension is lifted. But if a cert is revoked, the holder can no longer hold a cert in this state again. You will notify your employer, and we will as well. Understand every situation is looked at differently, is treated on an individual basis. It is likely that all of the certificates a person holds would be revoked if they held several, and not just the one that in the particular class that the violation occurred in. So let's say if you held 4 certifications and you were found to be negligent at one of the facilities you run, let's say it's a drinking water treatment facility, there's likelihood that all 4 of your certs would be revoked. Okay, ADQ does audit submitted PDHs and test scores. In our portal, we have the ability to do this much more quickly than we did before. It's no longer paper-based, as you know. So we're able to actually use our software to audit these PDHs and audit the scores. So make sure that when you submit PDHs that you have the evidence to back it up. You need to be able to provide evidence in the event an audit that those PDHs truly were completed by you. This is another activity where integrity and ethics are important and are enforced. When you submit the form that you confirm that what you have submitted is accurate and true, make sure it is. Falsification of PDHs can subject the certificate to denial, suspension, probation, or revocation. Submitting accurate test scores. Yep, we've all been there. I've tested myself, and I understand that if you're getting frustrated, if you've tested more than once, twice, 3 times, and you still haven't passed because you're just at that level of 66 to 69 points, and you're just there, call us, talk to us, talk to me. I've been here. I've been in the industry since 1999. I've been doing this a long time. I have a lot of good tips and ideas for you. to help you pass, but call us. But do not submit false records when it comes to testing. ADEQ gets a copy of every test that's taken, and not the test itself, but the report, the IMR, individual mastery report. We get a copy of it as well. So we know, and we also use our software to look and see what was submitted. So we have all the abilities to verify, and we do, that the test scores you're submitting are accurate and true. So please do not submit false records. Drinking water reporting, that's another activity. Most of us have used lab reports before, or chains of custody. We've submitted samples to the lab. Integrity and ethics are very important here, and they are enforced. So fill out your chain of custody sheet on the spot to ensure that data recorded is accurate. So if you collected a sample and it's 1010, write down 1010. If you're going to fill out your route sheet ahead of time, go ahead. You could fill it out on your chain of custody in the order in which you're going to be at each site, but be sure that you're recording the time that you collect that sample on the sheet. Do not pre-fill out your time and call it time traveling. Don't do that, because it's not going to help you in the long run. If for some reason you get held up, or you get into a jam, or you know what, you're like 3 hours later than you thought you were, don't mess up your chain of custody. Actually write down the time that you were there when you were there. Okay. Make sure your sampling equipment is calibrated correctly. So if you have let's say a Hawk pocket colorimeter 2, make sure you're checking those gel standards before you take it out in the field. Okay, you don't calibrate that one, but you certainly want to check it. If you're using a pH meter for some reason, you're out there, you want to do pH, great. Make sure your pH probe is calibrated that morning. Those things don't hold the calibration for more than a day. So ensure you just calibrate your equipment correctly. Okay, and again, time traveling, that's, you're filling out your times automatically, but it's also when you try to backdate a sample. So let's say some of these samples have a hold time, so the lab needs to get them on test within a certain period of time. Well, if you collected on a Tuesday, but it was supposed to have been collected on a Monday, you date it for the Tuesday. We do things accurately and correctly to ensure integrity of the sample from the date of time of collection or right up until the data reporting. Okay? And never mark that you collected a sample at a location that you did not go to. I had an instance in my career. We had a summer intern who just wanted to go to one of our lakes and hang out all day in the boat, and went there in the morning, collected 24 raw water samples that was supposed to be from 24 different locations, but he collected them all at that one spot, put them in the cooler, and hung out all day. Well, when he brought them to the lab and they were put under analysis, we instantly knew that these were all taken from the same location. And we could tell. We had years and years of data. We knew what to expect. So that person was subsequently fired. But the main thing was that the integrity was broken, the trust was broken, and now it became more of an issue where we couldn't trust the summer interns to go and do this job, right away. It took us a little while to get more comfortable with that. But do not buy collect samples either. Here's some case studies for you. So this first one, this person altered drinking water bacteria test results. They erased evidence of the positive test results. And the Department of Health Services, who was our partner in this, they went and they went to the lab. They did an audit, and they found out this individual's certificates were revoked. Charges of fraudulent schemes and practices and forgery were levied against this individual. And this was going on for about a year. Around 22,000 people were impacted by this. So not only did they erase evidence of the positive test results, they actually took the entire date sheet and rewrote it to eliminate any evidence that never happened. And this is completely not only unethical, this is illegal. Next case study. This individual changed test results to replace positive bacteria results for negative results. The altered results were submitted to ADEQ as part of their drinking water compliance obligations. ADEQ checked with the lab, and we found many times where data had been altered. How we found out was we had dual pieces of data that conflicted with one another. So once we found that, we had to reach out to the lab and get the real true results from the lab. So after doing this, we found that this had happened for 12 months to several of this individual's water systems. On the 13th month after this investigation had been conducted and that individual was no longer operating that system, there was an E. coli outbreak in that system. Luckily, no one got sick, but the system did have to do an emergency chlorination. They had a boil water advisory and other things to fix the issues with the system. This individual's certificates were revoked. Around 60,000 people were impacted. Again, we're very fortunate that no one got sick or killed by this individual's activities, but these actions did put the public at risk. Operators are entrusted with checking and maintaining the quality of their water, and we have to keep that in mind at all times, that you're not doing them any favors by hiding or altering data. Okay, only when a problem is uncovered can we work together to help solve it. Another individual, that their certifications were put on probation. It wasn't as severe. They had simply, in a way, fabricated PDH credits to renew their certificates. Around 10,000 people were impacted by this individuals being put on probation, because if they're on probation, they're not allowed to operate their water systems. It put the owners at a very significant inconvenience, and it impacted about 10,000. So again, ADEQ does perform audits on certificate renewals. The final case study, and I'll say we're saving the best worst case for last. This individual's certificates was put on suspension at first. Okay, so in 2018 they submitted fraudulent information to obtain certification through DEQ. They had falsified test scores using the PDH. They had gotten their IMRs from their gateway exam, and they cleverly used the software to alter their scores. However, they altered the number. They did not alter the mastery layouts. You know, the bars we have red, yellow, green. They did not change that, so we could actually see where they failed and how they failed and how much they failed. But their score, it was pretty good. They gave themselves an 89, so that's pretty good. But they did falsify the scores, and they entered it into our software. This is before the software. Excuse me. They entered it to us, submitted it to us along with the report, and they obtained their certificate fraudulently until we audited it, and that's what we found out. So we gave them a second chance, okay, and we made them go through with a consent order, and we had an agreement with them, and we said, you know what, we don't want to. If you want to be in the industry, this is no way to do it. You have to do it correctly. So we worked with them, and they were on the right path. But then 2.5 years later, that individual who's now did not have certifications. We worked with them to get them, but they ended up not able to get it. So 2.5 years later, though, this individual submitted water utility lab data to ADEQ using their real name. ADEQ inquired about it with that water company, and it turns out they were using certifications of another individual with a similar name. It was a different spelling, and they claimed it was their married name on the cert and their maiden name on the employment record. Well, ADEQ's legal arm is the state attorney general's office. So we got them involved, and immediate action followed, okay, including termination and arrest. This person actually it was discovered. The AG's office went down to the facility to do their investigation. That person was pulled in, and they were, as the AG's office was running their record, it was determined that there was a warrant for this person's arrest in another state for doing the same exact thing. They fraudulently tried to obtain certifications in Colorado. So this person has some serious ethical and questionable integrity. So summary of all these case studies, right? These individuals all violated public trust. Their actions were unethical, illegal, and do not promote safe drinking water for the public. So here's some dilemmas for you, right? You have not yet earned your 30 PDHs to renew your certs, and your certificates expire in 1 month. Okay, what do? Do you falsify your PDHs? and send your certification in anyway? No. Instead, you want to contact us, right? Find out what your options are. You're watching this webinar right now that now you're able to use these to gain PDHs. And as long as the PDHs you earn are earned within the valid start and stop or start and expiration date of your certificate, you can use them. Okay. So call us, find out what your options are. We're here to help you. Okay. And we do now have our ADEQ YouTube channel with our playlist for operator certification, which I'm hoping you followed to get to this video. Dilemma 2, you didn't pass your test. You needed it though, because you have an opportunity at work. You know, you got to get your grade 3. They want you to be a foreman. They want you to take over because someone's retiring, right? But you're taking that test and you keep missing it by a few points. What do you do, right? You're desperate. So you decide to alter your IMR to show that you passed, and then you send it in and you put it through the portal and you pay your fee, and great, you got your new certificate. No, you don't do that. We will find it, and at that point, we will contact your employer, and there will be action taken. So instead, don't submit your test score, right? Call us, please. I am very successful. I've been very successful in helping operators pass the exam. I want to help you, and our OpCert staff is trained as well to give you the same suggestions and recommendations that I have. There is no secret sauce, right? No panacea for passing these exams. You do have to be a subject matter expert on these. You do. But when it comes to actually taking the test, most of us haven't taken a test like this in many, many years. There's ways to do it correctly that'll help you. So please call us. I'll go over some of those later on. Okay, after testing for total coliform, you find the sample tested positive. What do? Do you throw away the sample and any evidence that showed it was positive? Rewrite the entire data sheet and tell your staff to follow the same. You can see the pattern these dilemmas have, right? These are all related to the case studies. No, you don't do that, right? We are about transparency and public health. So you keep the sample and any evidence that showed it was positive. It's recommended you contact ADEQ. If it was E. coli positive, it is required that you contact us by the end of the day. You complete the repeat sampling that needs to be done. That is the way you do it. Next dilemma, you forget to take a sample during your shift. What do? Well, don't panic, okay? What you don't want to do is falsify the report that you did, okay? Don't take the entire day's worth of sample in one spot. Don't copy down the previous shift did. Don't whip numbers or do what we call a sync test, which is basically is where the sample is just poured down the drain. You just make up numbers. Don't do that. So what you got to do is have a backup person trained, right? Stay a bit later if you're on shift to finish the job correctly. Notify the person on the next shift that you missed it and you missed the monitoring, okay? It's all about accountability and owning up to it, okay? It's very, very important. Okay, any consequences of these actions or violating the ethics of this responsibility that you have? Remember, public safety, right? It's compromised. Your certs can be revoked or suspended. That can impact you and your family and your employer. You'll lose your employment. Okay, that will happen, and it will follow you. You won't be able to get employment here as an operator in the state. There could be fines. Yep, we have the authority to issue fines, and there could be prison. Remember, this is law. Violation of the law could result in prison time. So how do we, as an agency, stay ethical? We utilize the ADEQ way. We evaluate everything we do for its impact on the mission. We hire only those who believe in our way and have a passion for their work. We train those who cannot, replace those who will not, and promote those who excel. We never hide a problem. We respect others enough to be honest, even if the truth is uncomfortable. We do not blame, but we hold each other accountable. We involve end users early and often when creating or improving a service. We never stop asking why. We continuously design and redesign for quality and radical simplicity. We freely discuss, promptly decide, and totally commit. And we do not fear failure. Fearing failure will prevent you from trying new, innovative ideas Okay, if you're afraid of failing, because a lot of times you'll try something that doesn't work, but that's okay. We go back, we try again. So remember, integrity, it all rests on you. You must make good choices. You be transparent, be honest, be forthcoming. Own up to your actions. What is that called? Accountability. Act in a way that is right, even if you think no one is looking, because a lot of times, listen, I've been in operations for uh, 12 years prior to coming to DEQ. A lot of times I was alone on shift, okay? And I know a lot of times nobody's looking, but that's okay. That's when you have your own personal responsibility, your own ethics and integrity that holds you up. In the long run, it takes a lot less effort to just follow policy than to find clever ways to get around it. If you suspect someone is engaging in improper activities, notify your direct supervisor. Combating ethical issues starts and ends with you. Do not assume that if someone else is doing something, including your supervisors, that it's okay. Ask questions, be transparent with everything. It's okay to make a mistake. It's not okay to hide that mistake. Many things do not have a fair answer, so you gather input from others to make the best decision when the path is unclear. ADEQ is here to help you and partner with you to provide safe drinking water and protect and enhance public health in the environment. So I'll tell you some of the tips I always tell people when going to take the operator exam. You have 3 hours. The first thing you need to do is read every question. Start from the beginning, read every question up on through to the end. If it's a no-brainer, you absolutely know the answer, go ahead and answer it. Okay? Read them all. You have time. Then start at the beginning and start answering questions. Okay? What this process does is it helps you calm down, relax, clear your head, and get into the actual mode of test taking and subject matter knowledge. Okay, once you do that, you're in a much better state to successfully tap into all that knowledge you have to pass that exam. Okay, the other recommendation I have is never leave anything blank. If you leave it blank, it's wrong. Don't put 2 answers if possible, because that's also going to be marked wrong. If you want to save your math until last, go ahead, but look at your units and look at what's being asked. You have scratch pad paper, you have a pencil. If you have to, just write down what it is right when you read the question. What are they asking you for? Okay, if it's asking you for milligrams per liter and they're giving you pounds per day, then you know you got to convert. Okay, that's what they do. It's about comprehension, not just your base knowledge. It's about comprehending the subject matter. And then I always joke, and all else fails, choose C. But that's really just a joke, not anything more than that. So I want to thank you all for your time. Okay, if you have any questions, my name is Jason Bobko. Here's my contact information here, bobko.jason@azdeq.gov. You should all know the operator certification, AZOpcert at azdeq.gov, or the phone number 771-0100. Thank you very much. Have a great day.